In every research you do, you need to have something unsolved, and we call this the research problem. But there's a difference between the research problem and the research symptoms. Let me explain the difference between these two using an example. You have a beautiful, lovely, latest Audi car. You love her. You don't let anybody to touch her. You don't let anybody to use her. You only use, and you keep it in very good condition. You maintain that at its maximum. Once, very unfortunately, you listen to some funny sound and you wanted to solve this, and you bring this to a garage, and the mechanic goes through every single system of the car to find out the problem, and he could not figure it out. So he says, okay, there is a problem, I know, but it is difficult to figure out what it is, but let me solve it this way. Get inside your car, start the car, and put the radio, increase the volume. Now can you listen to the sound of your funny engine? And you say no. Then says, okay, drive it. So now when you drive your car, do you listen to the sound of the car? No. But do you have the sound? Yes. And do you have the problem behind it? Yes. And what are you solving here? You are solving the symptoms, not the problem. When the radio goes off, you will still be listening to the sound. This is what I am calling. The sound is the symptom of some problem, and there is some problem inside. And if you solve the symptom, you will not solve the problem, and it is not permanent. But what we need in a research is to solve the problem. So we have to clearly figure out the problem beforehand to start the research. People feel tiredness and they have some headache. When you have some tiredness, you take a can of Red Bull, your tiredness will disappear. And after some time, you will get that tiredness back again, because tiredness is not the problem here, it is the symptom. If you have some headache, you take a Panadol, your headache will disappear. When the Panadol reduces in your bloodstream, you will get the headache back again, because headache is not the problem, it is the symptom of some problem. Now these two symptoms may be because of diabetes. Doctors would do some tests in your blood and they would say, okay, you are diabetic, your blood sugar is high, that is why you feel tired and the headache. Now the doctors, they treat the diabetes, not the symptoms of this tiredness and the headache. When they treat the diabetes, your symptoms will automatically disappear. My friend John, he is too heavy for his height, very much obese. And my favorite fast bowler, Wasim Akram, 1.88 meter height, over 6 foot tall, and both of them are diabetic. Now, when I figure out the reason, the factors that influence the diabetic of both of those guys separately, John is having diabetes because the food he consumes and the exercise he doesn't do. Meanwhile, Wasim Akram, his problem is not the exercise, he is about the food and the stress he has when he's playing for international games. Now, when you understand these two cases, you would see diabetes is the same problem for both of them, but they both have different set of factors influencing the diabetes. After you clearly define the research problem, you have to move to the next part of the process, which is to find out the factors that influence that problem. If it is diabetes, you may have to go to the existing knowledge. We call this literature review. You go there and find out if there are any theories that talks about this blood sugar and the factors connected to that. There are theories. Food influence blood sugar. We have already established this theory. Exercise influence blood sugar. Stress influence blood sugar. There are multiple factors that may influence blood sugar. So you have to review the literature and you have to find out what are the factors that may influence blood sugar. This is what we call the literature review. Let me summarize what I have said so far. In any problem, your symptoms show up initially. Based on the symptoms, you have to figure out the problem. And based on the problem, you have to figure out the factors that influence the problem. But you have to consider symptoms may be the same, but the problem may be different. And you have to further consider you may have the same problem, but the factors influence the problem may differ case to case. And finally, we have one more extra point to consider here. You have symptoms for a problem. Symptoms may differ case to case as well, but you may have the same problem also. Let's say you may feel tired and headache, that may be because of the blood sugar, whereas some others may feel sleeplessness and over sweating, that may also because of the diabetes as well. So diabetes is the same problem for these two different cases, but you have different set of symptoms. For the first one, it is the tiredness and the headache, and the second one, it is the sleeplessness and the over sweating. So figuring out the problem is challenge. You would automatically see the symptoms. There is no challenge finding out your symptoms, but the first challenge in your research is to figure out the problem exactly. Because now you see, tiredness and the headache is a symptom of diabetes, but the same symptom may be because of blood pressure as well. You may be tired because you have some blood pressure. You may feel some headache because you have some blood pressure as well. So same symptom, a different problem. Figuring out the problem is the first challenge of your research. If you don't figure out the exact problem of that symptom, you would be misadministrating your medicine for some wrong problem which you may not have in your body.